Guys, let me explain something that most people probably don't know. When I first started barbering, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought that if I master my technical skill, work really hard, build a clientele, that I was supposed to find the recipe for success. But looking back now, I realized that there was one simple, very important part to this. I never planned on becoming an educator. In fact, the thought of teaching terrified the living shit out of me. And I kept thinking, who am I to teach anyone? I've still got so much to learn, but what happened next completely changed my perspective on barbering. You see, standing in front of a class filled with people was the most terrifying thing I could ever do. Trying to explain techniques I'd done thousands of times would expose the ultimate truth, which is that I didn't really know what I was doing. Every weakness in my craft would be exposed if I went into education. And the truth is, that was the best thing that ever happened in my career. So in this video, I'm gonna share about how teaching transformed not just my craft, but my entire approach to barbering. Look, even if you've never thought about teaching, or maybe especially if you have the idea that makes you nervous about teaching, this will change your perspective on your journey to becoming the best barber ever. I'll show you how teaching forced me to master the fundamentals in a way that has transformed my client results, the unexpected way education elevated my entire business, and most importantly, how you can start using these principles even if you're not ready to teach yet. This isn't just about becoming an educator, it's about becoming the kind of barber who makes a real impact in the industry. Let me take you back to one of the most important parts of my career. The first workshop I ever did. Look, I've been doing fades for years. I could do them literally with my eyes closed, but then a student one day raised their hand and asked me something that stooped my entire day, which was, why do you hold your clipper at that exact angle? At that moment, my mind went completely blank. I knew it worked, but I couldn't explain why. Here I was supposed to be teaching others, and I couldn't even break down one of the most fundamental aspects of my technique. And that's when everything changed. I realized that being good at something isn't the same as truly understanding it. So I started breaking down every single part of my process. Why does the grip change the blend? What's happening when we switch from a 1.5 to a 1? How does the head shape affect where we start our fade? I spent months dissecting every technique. I thought I'd mastered everything. And here's what's fascinating. As I developed the language to explain these techniques to others, something unexpectedly happened. My fades just got way cleaner. My transitions got smoother. My technique, my tension, my precision styles got better. My sectioning got cleaner. And the reason behind this is because I finally understood why I was doing it. And what that means for you is that even if you're not planning to teach, start explaining your process to yourself. So either record it or write it down, or tell another barber. Ask yourself, why do you start your fade where you do? Where's the reason behind you sectioning this pattern? How do you decide which tools to use and when? The moment you can explain your process to someone else is the moment you truly have mastered it. One of my students, Chris, started doing this before he even taught a class. He'd record himself explaining the techniques and would start explaining it for hours. Within 3 months, his rebook rate went from 60% to nearly 90%. Why? Because when you understand why behind your work, your confidence shows it and the clients start feeling it. This isn't just about teaching others, it's about mastering your craft in a way that transforms your clients' results. You know what's interesting about teaching? It completely changes how your clients perceive you. I remember the first time I ever posted a content from one of my workshops, I wasn't trying to market myself. I just wanted to share what we were doing. But something shifted in my DMs almost immediately. Instead of getting messages asking how much for a cut, I started getting messages saying, I've been following your educational content and I'd love to book with you. The conversation was different. These weren't price shoppers anymore. There were clients who already valued my expertise before they even sat in my chair. They didn't ask me about the price. They asked me when I had availability. But here's what really blew my mind. The same exact haircut I was doing before, the same techniques, the same time spent, suddenly just became more valuable. Not because I changed my technical skills, but because I changed how people perceive those skills. When clients see you teaching others, they don't just see a barber, they see an expert, an authority, someone who's mastered their craft enough to pass it to others. And this changed everything in my business. Consultation became collaborations instead of negotiations. Price resistance disappeared almost literally entirely. My social media started attracting serious committed clients and barbers, and other barbers began referring their clients to me for specific haircuts. But here's what I want you to understand. You don't need a stage or a classroom to become an educator. Start small. Let's do this. Share the thought process behind your favorite haircuts on social media. Break it down. Talk about it to your clients. Record it so other people could see it. Explain techniques to your clients during consultations. Create simple before and after breakdowns of your work and document your own learning journey. One of my students, Enzo, started doing just quick technique breakdowns on Instagram. No fancy setup, just an honest explanation of his process. In 6 months, he went from charging $35 to $85 per cut. And his clients were thanking him for raising his prices. Because when you position yourself as an educator, you're not just selling haircuts anymore, you're offering expertise. It's simple as that. Now, let me share you the 3 specific steps you can take this week to start positioning yourself as an educator without even having to do your first workshop. Step 1, document your process. Start recording yourself breaking down your haircuts. I'm not talking about just showing the end result. I mean actually explaining your decision making. Take your phone, set it up while you're cutting and talk through it. Why did you choose that sectioning pattern? How did you decide on your fade starting point? What tells you it's time to switch tools? Don't worry about being perfect. The goal isn't about teaching others yet. It's about being comfortable explaining your process. Step 2, create your content framework. Look at your last 10 haircuts and break them into these 3 categories. Number 1, your consultation approach. Number 2, your technical process. And number 3, your finishing detail. Pick one aspect of each of these 3 categories that you feel most confident about, and these become your first 3 pieces of educational content. For example, if you're great at tapering, break down your taper technique into 5 clear steps. Film it, explain it, share it. Step 3, start small, but start now. Here's your weekly action plan. You guys ready for it? Everyone has to do this. If you've watched up to this point, you have to do this. This is called a non-negotiable. I do this across my teams. This is our non-negotiable. Monday, film yourself explaining one technique. Wednesday, share 3 tips about that technique on your social media. Friday, do a before and after with a detailed breakdown of your process. And the key here is simply consistency. You're not trying to build an academy overnight. You're establishing yourself as someone who shares valuable knowledge. Start with these 3 steps this week. Don't wait until you feel ready enough, because you know that day is never gonna come. Start with what you know now and grow from there. You know, when I think back to that nervous barber who was terrified to teach his first class, and I still feel this way when I'm posting my content on social media. I wish I could tell that guy what teaching would have done to his entire career, because it's not just about standing in front of a classroom or having a huge following. It's about understanding your craft so deeply you can break it down for others. When you do that, everything changes. Your confidence, your results, your business. Let's do a quick recap to those 3 steps you could start this week. 1, document your process. Start filming and explaining your techniques. 2, create your content framework using your best skills. 3, take action with that Monday, Wednesday, Friday plan we just talked about. And remember, you don't need to be the world's best barber to start sharing what you know. You just need to be one step ahead of someone else. This journey of becoming an educator isn't just about teaching others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself as a barber. Start small, but start now. And if you take action on any of these steps this week, tag me in your content and I'll reshare it. Thank you guys so much for watching my content. I hope you guys find value in these videos, and I cannot wait to see you guys on the next one. Much love, appreciate it, and goodbye.